Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives.
Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for being on the call live today. It's always wonderful to see who is on and what we get to create here together. I've noticed that I get texts occasionally from people right after the call, and that, wow, this was just exactly what I needed. And I found, I don't know how it is for the people that are listening on the podcast, because, I don't know who's listening to the podcast. I don't have that benefit of being able to know like I do, on the live call. But I do know that those who are on the live call are getting what they need. And that's why they keep coming back. And so I encourage you to come on the call live sometimes. I feel like those who are on the call help to create the call, even just in choosing what we're going to focus on for the day. So if you're on the call live and you do these rounds of gratitude before we start the recording, then it colors what the call is going to be about. So you're going to get something that is specific to you for sure, because you helped to create it. So just encourage you to jump on the call live if you haven't yet, and try it out as a live participant and see if your experience is different. Speaking of live participants, I started doing a few months ago, I started doing some local classes here at my house. And I didn't realize, because I have a video on how to do the daily GPS system, and I have a video on how to do your daily gratitude process every day that, kind of takes you through this call and the steps to the call so you can do it on your own if you're not able to get on live. And I thought, yeah, that's enough. But a couple months ago, I was inspired to do some local classes here in Utah County. So if anybody is local, if you're listening and you're local to Utah County and you'd like to come to some of those classes, I do a daily GPS class and a vision board class, and then it's actually a 3-part series. The third part is a one-on-one call with me, an hour-long call, and there's a specific thing that we do on that call to help you uncover all the counterfeits in the areas of faith and abundance. Those are the 2 areas that most people struggle in, and if you're not living a life true to what faith really is, then you're missing out on knowing really who you are, and really being able to embrace your worth, your value, and then abundance. Of course, that's one area that a lot of people struggle in, and most of it is because we're living in counterfeit. We don't really know the truth of abundance, and we always think there's some kind of a catch, to us being able to experience abundance. So that's the third part. Is if you come to the 2 classes, then you get that third part of a call with me to identify what those counterfeit beliefs are that you are living your life in faith and abundance. So being on the call live here, you're going to get, you're going to help to create it, so you're going to get more of what you need. And then coming to these classes live instead of just the recording, you also are going to have something specific to you. The recording is just general information. The classes, people will ask certain questions, and we get to share and have a personal experience that I have found over the last couple of months as I've been doing this, and the texts and messages that I've been getting, that it's way more powerful to be in person with me. So I encourage you to do that whenever you can, especially here on the Gratitude Call. I am planning to do a retreat later in the year too, so you can just kind of put that away, maybe stick it up on your vision board that would be something that you would like to participate in if you don't live close to me, to be able to experience in person some of these things that are available. So I always just kind of share what comes to me, and always seems like it fits. The subject that we're going to be focusing on today is gratitude for ideas implemented. And doing those local classes was an idea that I had a few months ago in my daily GPS practice, and I implemented that, and it has been a huge, not only a huge boost to my business, but it also has been huge in helping me to identify who I get to serve. I think that is the reason why I do this gratitude call, the reason why I create content, the reason why I share the things, the inspired messages that I'm getting from my daily GPS. I share those on social media because I want to know who my people are, who's my flock that is seeking Christ, and that I can maybe help lead them there. So I appreciate all of you participating, and even this gratitude call was an idea 4 years ago that came out of a retreat, retreats that I was doing back then for people that were overcoming addiction, called Warrior Camp. And after the retreats, everybody wanted to stay connected on a daily basis, and gratitude was the key piece that helped people stay clean. And so we started this gratitude call about 4 years ago. Didn't start recording it until almost a year ago, January 2019, so just about a year ago. And then we created a podcast of it in March. So the podcast is almost a year old, about 3 more months will be a year old. But the idea that was implemented was 4 years ago, and it has evolved and become something, even more powerful that goes beyond just helping people with addiction. So thank you all for being here. And we're going to start this timer, 90 seconds, and we're going to focus on gratitude for ideas implemented and to see what comes up. So 90-second private meditation, just writing what comes to you on gratitude for ideas implemented. Begin. All right. I'm excited for what we get to learn on this call, because the thought that came to me is I don't know how to implement the Inspired Shortcut that I received today. And it's been for about a week. It seems like the Inspired Shortcuts that I'm getting, I don't know how to implement them. And when I say I don't know how, that means that means that I'm not open to receiving the answer. So I'm really excited to be open to receiving the answer. It feels like I'm standing like right next to a wall, and all I can see is like the brick right in front of me. And I need to be able to step back to see over the wall, around the wall, through the wall, whatever. There's got to be a way, or I wouldn't be getting these inspired shortcuts. So I'm just like in a space of learning right now of what I get to learn on this call, to see how to, not to see how to do it, but to allow myself to step back. That's what I'm open to today. Who else would like to share?
I'd like to share.
Thanks, Daniel.
Yes. I was just thinking in terms of, I think something Kathy mentioned, to having to do with peace. But I also thought about, love thy neighbor as thyself. That's a good idea to implement. Again? To love, your neighbor as yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So that gave me the idea of like self-love, and as to how to properly implement self-love in a way that can just make you blossom as a human being. And it's good to just even meditate on it. Would be like, for me, like a shortcut to it, or the beginnings of a shortcut. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. So something that I heard, I'm not sure, and you can totally jump back in, Dan, help. But the idea is implemented, this idea of loving your neighbor, that it begins with self-love. And
correct.
Properly implementing ideas on how you can love yourself in a way that is going to help you blossom.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you. Who else has joined us?
Michael.
Hey, Michael. Welcome. We're focusing on gratitude for ideas implemented. Who else has something they'd like to share?
I'd like to share.
Okay. Thanks, Rachel.
I just had the thought that when we act on these, we act on the things that come to us to implement, the ideas to implement, and we don't hesitate, but we act immediately, that this is how we step into the privileges that God has for us, that God wants to give us, that He's waiting to give us. So it's just a way of accessing the privileges God has for us.
Thank you. Oh, wow. What a great visual that when we have an idea, it's like a doorway opening. And all we have to do is just step through the doorway. God's just giving us abundance. He's giving us an opportunity that we won't see or feel the full ramifications of it unless we choose to step through the doorway by taking action without hesitation. Thank you. Who else?
Well, I'm grateful that when I do take action on the ideas I have, it engages me in life, and it opens new doors. And it may not. It's just the beginning. It's the start of something, and that something is unknown until you actually start moving and start doing it. And it completes you. It's a process of completing you. It's just part of building on who you are and discovering who you are and what's next. So the ideas implemented are a path. It's like I love what Rachel said. Accepting the gifts that God's giving you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love that idea of just the idea is just the doorway, and implementing it, stepping through the doorway, then things become clearer. So, back to my original thought about I don't know how, if, the doorway is open, it's almost like I'm sitting there stuck in mud or something. It's like I don't know how to walk through that doorway. All I have to do is just take a step, and then things will open up. Thank you. Any last thoughts before we shift over to our permission process?
I have a thought.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Why do we pray and ask for ideas, and then when we receive them, we don't act upon them?
Receive them and then what?
When we receive them, we don't act upon them. We continually say, "Oh, I need thy help," and he says, "Okay, do this," and we sit back and say, "Yeah, I got to do that," but we don't take any steps. And what is the cost of that hesitation? And what is the cost of not trusting that he's given us the right answer? And I think, like was just said, is that when we implement them, when we go right away and do what he said, because we asked. And when we don't do it, we lose maybe the first step or the second step. We lose the opportunity. They'll pass on to somebody else. And so implementing is going out and doing. And what holds us back? Is it fear? But why did we ask and then not do?
Well, awesome. Thank you. Perfect transition into our permission process. Praying and asking for ideas. That's one of the very first things that we do in the daily GPS is asking, for ideas of what our inspired shortcut is for today. And that procrastination, hesitation, I love, that what you said, what is the cost of hesitation? What's the cost of not trusting the source of the inspiration? What's the cost of not believing ourselves that we have the ability to act? And losing opportunities. I feel like, God can take us anywhere from anywhere, but if we continue down a certain path and we don't take those shortcuts to, that lead us closer, we get farther and farther away from that ultimate destination that we're after. And he can always get us back there for sure. There's always a way back to the path. But if we took immediate action, obedient, action without hesitating, the first time we receive an inspired shortcut, then maybe we won't be so far off the path, and it might be a little bit easier to get back on the path. So thank you, Michael, and everyone.
On Sunday, someone spoke about Peter, and him and his partners have been out fishing all night long, and they didn't catch a fish. And when they came back, and the Christ called out and said, "Hey, have you caught anything?" And they said, "Nothing." And he said, "Well, cast your net on the right side of the ship." So their net's filled full to bursting. And I think that's what it is with us. We get out and we do it our way, and we may have had it. We may have not implemented, just saying this is the way we always do it. And then
we have someone that is not muted that's making a little bit of background noise. So check your phone real quick and make sure that you're muted. Okay, Michael, not you.
Basically, he followed the Lord's advice. He said, he might even said, "What can I lose?" But anyway, he followed the Lord's advice. Things fell into place. He had more than abundance that he could, they couldn't even handle everything that happened.
Beautiful. Thank you. What a wonderful example of taking action immediately, even when we don't understand it. It's like, are you kidding? Like the space of 5 feet or 6 feet or 10 feet, I don't know how wide the ships are, but, if it was a small boat or a big boat, but it's like they could look at the guy and say, you're on the shore, we're out here in the water, we're fishermen, we're experienced fishermen. You don't know anything. They totally could have said that. I mean, it just didn't make sense logically, just the space of just a few feet, that they would actually catch more fish. But they took the took the advice and said, you know what, this is our inspired shortcut today. Throw the net on the other side. Okay, we're going to do that. And so that is just a perfect example of us following through, taking us one step, making one small change. It didn't cost them anything. It wasn't any harder. It's just shift one, just turn to the right, just do something a little bit different. And that's what we're going to be open to hearing today, what our inspired shortcut is. And this is an opportunity today to be able to step through that doorway and see what abundance God has available to us. So let's everybody just go ahead and take a deep breath and just get really clear of any preconceived thoughts about what we might be asking today, or what we need to learn, or what God needs to tell us or give us or whatever. Just let everything go. Just be open to receive. One more deep breath. And the first question I have for you is, what is your limiting belief about asking, receiving, trusting, and then just taking immediate action? What's the limiting belief that comes up for you in this space of just getting ready to ask? And, there's some limiting belief about receiving, trusting, and then acting immediately. Which of those maybe has stumped you in the past? If you have an easy time asking, do you have a hard time trusting? Or are you okay asking and trusting, but you have a hard time taking action? So what is your limiting belief about this process of asking, receiving, trusting, and acting on your inspired shortcuts? Where in the system is the breakdown? What's your pattern? And as you're getting more clear with your limiting belief, the area of this process where you feel like the system is constantly breaking down, you being the opportune piece, what is the cost? What's the cost in not believing in yourself? What's the cost in not trusting the source? What's the cost in hesitating? What is the cost of whatever area of this system is breaking down for you? What's the cost of that? And as you're getting more clear with what that cost is that's attached to that the limitation that you've been exhibiting, you have a choice. You can continue having that breakdown and just thinking to yourself, well, why is this not working? Or you can give yourself permission to get past that, to let go of that limiting belief about that particular area of the system and see what happens. So if you're ready to give yourself permission to try something different and just see what happens, say yes.
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 All right. And so now it's time to choose some new beliefs. So choose like 2 or 3 new beliefs that will replace that old limiting belief, that will allow you to your system to flow freely, to be able to ask, receive, trust, and act immediately, fluidly, easily, with full confidence. And go ahead and write those new beliefs down that are going to help you to be able to have more of a free-flowing system of receiving, acting, and experiencing all that new abundance that God has for us. the privileges that God has available to us. And now, one last question. Now that you are allowing yourself to easily ask, receive, trust, and act immediately, what is your inspired shortcut today? What is the one most important thing that you can do today? What is the idea that you can implement today that will open the doors of prosperity, privilege, and abundance to you? And just trust that the first thing that comes to you is the most important thing. All right, in a moment, I'm going to open it up for some shares. Just want to invite anyone, if you are struggling in any of these areas, asking, receiving, trusting, and acting, or if you'd just like a little bit more insight into the choices that you're making today, these new beliefs that you're creating, maybe to give you a little bit more confidence in these new beliefs, then I invite you to reach out to me on AskWileen.com. Just go to that website, and that will be a direct link to my calendar, so you can schedule a time with me, 15 minutes, and it's free for you to be able to do that. So I encourage you to connect with me and have that opportunity to get things opened up a little bit more for you. Who would like to share something about their experience today? All right, well, while you're considering, in case there is someone that would like to share and just hasn't quite gotten their thoughts together yet, I'm just going to share my new beliefs. The limiting belief that I had is that I have a hard time acting with full confidence when my schedule is full that day. And like last night, or night before last, actually, the Inspired Shortcut was something very simple that I could have done, like set aside an hour and had it done, and I didn't. And so I was up till midnight because I thought, by golly, I am getting this done. It's the most important thing that I need to do today, and I'm going to do it. And so I was up till midnight, and it did take about an hour for me to accomplish it, but I let my schedule take precedence over the Inspired Shortcut. So that's my limiting belief, is acting in full confidence regardless of my schedule is what I really need to do. Struggle and disbelief is the cost. And my new beliefs are, I act in full confidence. And that feels so good because I really do trust the source that inspiration is coming from. And when I get an Inspired Shortcut, it truly, I know that it's the most important thing that I need to get done that day. And so that new belief, I act in full confidence, feels very solid and reminds me of the source that's coming from. And then the second one, because I still don't feel like I haven't mastered this, I wrote, I'm learning that acting creates more time and money for me. That feels really good too, that I'm actually kind of like testing this out. I know from past experience that it is true that when I act on my Inspired Shortcut, it creates more ease in all areas of my life. So that new belief is sort of like I'm acting in full confidence, and then I'm also seeking evidence. I'm learning that acting creates more time and money for me. Any last thoughts before we end our call today?
Yeah, what's really nice about the gratitude call is, for me, is that we can look at that layers just uncover every day. And if we do this every day, it's just amazing what can come up and what you can work on. And my limiting belief was kind of like yesterday. I'll trusting and acting on my inspired next step is, or an idea. I'm afraid I'll fail or disappoint, and so I'll just stay where I'm at. I won't fully realize what I can do and the difference I can make, and just really living into my potential. So my new beliefs are: I am acting on my inspired next step, and immediately I am receiving the abundance God has for me, and I am following the next step so I can be a light to others.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that, Mary.
Yeah.
And was there somebody else, was it Rachel, that wanted to share?
Yeah, it's Kathy.
Awesome.
And I appreciated what Mary said, because that went really right along with what I was thinking, the limiting beliefs that were coming up around trusting that the steps that we're given are inspired and knowing where they're coming from. But what was really following that was that every good thing comes from God. And so if we're given something and we're not trusting it, just do it anyway, because it's a good thing and good things can happen from it.
Beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I really appreciate those last two shares. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been an awesome call. It's helped to open up some new things for me. The Inspired Shortcut that I got is something that in the past I would have said, I don't know how to do that. In the past, I would have said that. But I know one step that I can take. I know one little tiny thing that I can do. And that is, I'm trusting that that's going to open up whatever comes next. So thank you all for being on the call today, for helping me to find a new perspective within my own life, and also for having the commitment and dedication to yourself, to creating that consistent layers like Mary was talking about, just layering your growth and your learning by being here on a daily basis. So thank you all for being here, and we'll look forward to tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, for our gratitude call tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Hey, thanks so much for listening, and I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.